The proposed guidelines on transformational partnerships and women's economic empowerment in agricultural value chains, or the Transformational AVC guidelines, are being promoted to address issues and challenges of women and men small-scale producers engaged in agricultural value chains and supportive to the practice of a set of benchmarks for transformational partnerships and women's economic empowerment in agricultural value chains, an aspirational standard for small and medium enterprises, corporate agribusinesses, as well as agricultural value chain program holders and supporters, to refer to in aspiring to contribute to the realization of the Sustainable Development Goals that will positively impact on marginal and small-scale producers, especially women. The Transformational AVC guidelines are a set of policies, incentives, and support programs that can provide an enabling environment and ecosystem to encourage and promote the practice of transformational partnerships and women's economic empowerment in agricultural value chains. It hopes to significantly and positively impact on the lives and livelihoods of the women and men small-scale producers in ASEAN. The Transformational AVC guidelines ask ASEAN and ASEAN member states to consider: first, enabling innovations that support agricultural value chain development for food secure, resilient, and empowered small-scale producer communities by promoting appropriate, affordable, and accessible technology and community-oriented innovations that build on indigenous knowledge systems and that are friendly to small-scale producers, especially women. Enabling women and men small-scale producers to reap their fair share of the wealth generated by agricultural value chains. Ensuring food security and nutrition and the resilience of both women and men small-scale producers to health pandemics and natural, social, and economic disasters, and enabling the empowerment of small-scale producers in the agriculture, forestry, and fishery sectors to be main actors of their own development. Second, enabling women's economic empowerment spanning all functions and organizations engaged in AVC development, management, and governance. This means investing in transparent and accountable value chain development practices that enhance women's participation and empowerment as stakeholders in production, consolidation, processing, marketing, and other functions that produce and deliver agricultural, forestry, and fishery products to markets, and investing in transforming women small-scale producers in agriculture, forestry, and fishery, individually and in groups, into entrepreneurs, leaders, and stakeholders of enterprises and organizations promoting women's economic empowerment. Third, mobilizing investments on sustainable consumption and production systems that enable women and men small-scale producers as stakeholders in achieving a climate-resilient and green economy. It includes investing in and enabling sustainable consumption and production system that will empower women and men small-scale producers to become stewards of the natural resource base that sustains their livelihoods and enterprises, and supporting investments and interventions that enable enterprises of small-scale producers to effectively adopt and adapt sustainable consumption and production technologies and practices in value chain functions beyond production. Fourth, recognizing and supporting social enterprises and inclusive businesses as innovators and key enablers of women and men small-scale producers in agricultural value chains. These includes recognizing and enabling social enterprises as key stakeholders in empowering women and men small-scale producers in AVCs. Enabling transformational models of inclusive businesses engaged with women and men small-scale producers by supporting their partnership with social enterprises and NGOs, and investing in and incentivizing AVC interventions that support transactional and transformational services among women and men small-scale producers through inclusive and hybrid financing. Finally, mobilizing support for social innovation platforms that mainstream sustainable agriculture, transformational partnerships, and women's economic empowerment in AVCs toward measurable social impact and accelerating the achievement of the Sustainable Development Goals. Recommended actions are investing in and incentivizing programs that support agricultural value chain stakeholders to co-create social impact and measure outcomes of transformation at the level of women and men small-scale producers, households, and communities, and the value chains and economic subsectors, and enabling cross-sectoral collaboration and multi-stakeholder platforms that promote the practice and mainstreaming of the benchmarks toward accelerating the SDGs. The Transformational AVC guidelines are voluntary. It is designed to enhance and complement relevant ASEAN policies, approaches, and other guidelines. The ASEAN and ASEAN member states are enjoined to adopt and consider the proposed actions and recommendations as we recover from the pandemic and build back fairer. Log on to ISEA's official website for more information on the Transformational AVC guidelines.